we're gonna be in this show for like an hour or so. So
let's just go ahead and do it. Let's just both make an executive decision and do it together.
All right, here we go.
All right.
It's not a bird, it's not a plane, it's Superhero Slate. It's a modern podcast where we talk about everything that's great, like movies, TV, superheroes. It's Superhero Slate. Oh yeah.
Hello everyone and welcome to Superhero Slate, the show where we run down the latest superhero entertainment news.
We love TV, movies, and superheroes. So let's talk it all out.
My name is Chris Dillard.
And my name is Mike Royer.
And this week, we're checking in on those Razzie nominations.
The Razzies. They're still happening. Even bad movies can come out during a pandemic.
Mm-hmm. Yep, exactly. Within last year, there were several of them. And several this year. I'm looking forward to next year's Razzies already.
Mm-hmm.
Kevin Feige discusses multiple seasons of Marvel shows. I know you want to know if there's going to be more of that.
Oh, please.
Of those shows. We'll talk about that a little bit. We really hope you like Resident Evil this year, because this is the year for Resident Evil items and more.
Well, if this year is the year for Resident Evil, this week is a content week, Chris. Like you said, just before we hit the record button, we're in like the eye of a storm, because we're getting two huge, like, really big things this week. We got the Snyder Cut coming up, like weird, like midweek, a birthday present for you.
Yes.
So you'll be able to watch it. Maybe it's a good present. I don't know.
I'm like I said, I'm glad it's gonna be over. I was like, you're excited for this? I'm like, I'm glad for it to not show up in my news all fucking week.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like you could have watched it. You could have opened up your birthday present a little bit earlier if you knew the keys to the kingdom. We'll talk about that here in a little bit. But also Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which has been exciting for me being out here in LA, because when the pandemic started, the Quiet Place 2 billboards just remained in the sky forever, right? There was no new movies coming out. I don't know if just nobody outside of the movie business ever even wants to put anything up on a billboard, but it was just like, I felt like I was in what's that Will Smith movie where there's like vampires?
I Am Legend.
And
you know what's funny? Because they had a Batman v Superman
yes,
poster
they did.
in that one.
Exactly, and that's exactly what this has felt like. Like the Quiet Place 2 has just been plaguing the billboards for this entire pandemic, and I feel like the first time I noticed them coming down was just the other week, and what came up was Falcon and the Winter Soldier. They even do that cool thing where they protrude a little bit of extra design off the billboard, and that's like the Falcon's wing coming out. So I'm getting really hyped. I literally drove by one today, so I'm very excited for that. So it's just a cool week, but unfortunately, it's Sunday right now, so we have not watched any of that stuff yet, so we're just waiting. We're anticipating. We sprung forward an hour, so we lost an hour. So I'd like to thank Daylight Savings Time for getting us an hour closer to all of these things, I guess, is one way to look at it. We just cut an hour out. Now we get to it a little faster.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think it's... everyone's probably very sleepy listening to this on their way to work in the morning. So thank you for bearing with us. And hopefully this is that shot of energy you need to get through the day. But also at the same time, I'm enjoying it because right now it's 8 o'clock, right? And my time, and it was daylight, when I walked in here to record. I'm like, yes, give me that afternoon daylight. I need it. It's going to make me feel that much better about it.
Yeah, we're lucky you're not 50 years older, because you might be like battling some sundowning right now. You wouldn't make it to the end of the podcast with the sun setting right on you.
Exactly. And then also, not only that, we've got other shows. We got Godzilla vs. Kong coming up. We got Mortal Kombat coming up.
That's right.
This is the precipice before things start actually releasing this year, for a good consecutive thing. So, week here, 2 week wait there. That's awesome. I'm really excited for that.
In an alternate universe where a pandemic wasn't plaguing our entertainment, this would normally be the time of the year where we're really starting to strap in and get on that summer blockbuster roller coaster, right? Because before, the summer was just so insanely competitive, you were running out of weekends to put your big tentpole movie like smack dab in the middle of a kid's summer break. So they're just like, okay, well, let's put it out in March. We've had really huge stuff come out in March in the past, so we basically are putting on like our big kid boots as soon as March. So now we kind of have to change our expectations a little bit, but thank God for streaming, that we have some fun stuff still to watch.
Exactly, and it's it's just, even if it's not something where we've been looking forward to, it's just something new to look at for a little bit. So that's been a thing, because we'll talk about this in the QuaranStream here, Mike. We can kick it off here. Is that I've been watching a lot of older stuff, but things that are not new, but things, again, my wife has not seen. But I'm going to jump to you because you got here first and put your list in. So I'm going to go by the order of the show notes and default to you, my friend.
Yeah, well, the wife and I have jumped into some prestige television that we missed back in 2019. 2019 feels like a bajillion years ago, but this show, the first season dropped in 2019, or maybe it was even 2018. I don't even remember, but there's 2 seasons out right now. We're working our way through the 2nd season, and that is the show on HBO called Succession. We caught the very first episode like a year and a half ago, and then we just weren't in the right mind space for this kind of like high drama, kind of Wall Street big business type of show. So even though intellectually we identified things we liked in the first episode, we just dropped off. So the other week, the wife was just like, should we try to watch Succession again? So we loaded back up the first episode, and then we were hooked right back in there. One familiar face that you might see in this show is Cameron, from Ferris Bueller's Day Off. I don't know what his name is as an actor. I just keep calling him Cameron, but he's in this show. You have Macaulay Culkin's brother is in this show as well. What is it? Kieran Culkin?
Kieran Culkin, one of them.
I think
yeah.
so. They make up 2 of the brothers of this big kind of empire family. And it's supposed to be kind of like it's almost like a Rupert Murdoch Fox News-esque business, but they also own theme parks, and they kind of own a company that's kind of like a SpaceX company in Japan. So it's just like this amalgamation of this huge conglomerate, and it's just all about like these children vying for the spot of a CEO. So there's just a lot of high drama. But it's from Adam McKay, which, if that name sounds familiar, is because usually you would associate him with Will Ferrell, who gave you all of those huge smash comedy hits from back in, like, I want to say, mid to late aughts. I think like 2000, like 10s maybe when they were really popping off.
Yeah, like prime into the 2000s, start of the new decade.
Yeah, but Adam McKay seems to have this affinity for kind of like these big spender Hollywood Wall Street types, because he also was the guy who gave us The Big Short, which was that movie about the housing crisis, the kind of stock market recession. So he has this this passion for it, and the show is drama, but there's also some interesting laughs in there as well, because it's Adam McKay. He comes from this comedy background, so it's been fun. We're halfway through season 2, so we'll be all caught up here soon. So Succession, if you're looking for some of that high drama of just loving to hate characters, because there's no likable characters in this show, so you just watch it to hate them, so that's really satisfying. And then second up, like the total opposite show, like this couldn't be more of an antithesis to Succession, is this new animated show on Netflix called City of Ghosts. So I checked out the first 3 episodes today. There's only 6 episodes available, so I don't know if they're just doing shorter seasons or if there'll be like a part 2 maybe later this year. But it's just this incredibly charming and wholesome animated show about these kids who are kind of in this ghost club, and they go around the city of Los Angeles to find ghosts and just interview them. And the amazing thing about this show is, Chris, are you familiar with the cartoon show Gumball that's on Cartoon Network?
Yeah, it's like the Fantastical World of Gumball or something like that. But
yeah, you have like these animated characters on like lifelike backgrounds.
Mm-hmm.
This show does something very similar, where when they go around these different neighborhoods in Los Angeles, the backgrounds are like photographs or video of those real locations in Los Angeles. And then they do this cool thing where they embellish the backgrounds a little bit. So, if you can see like the Hollywood Hills in the background, they'll remove them and they'll replace them with like hand-drawn 2D hills. Or if there's like a palm tree in the midground, they'll replace that with like a hand-drawn palm tree. So there's just like this amazing, charming aesthetic to it, and all of the characters are 3D animated, but if you have like this secondary or this tertiary character in the background, they'll be flat 2D animated. So you just have like this amazing depth, and all of the kids in the show are voice acted by real kids, and they kind of include kind of some of their clunky dialogue and their kind of just childlike improvisation. So you just have all of this warmth coming off of the show. and it has this docu-series style too. So like these kids are going out to interview ghosts, but then they're also kind of talking to camera as they're interviewing these people that are kind of quote unquote being haunted, if you will. So I think anyone would watch this and have a really great time. But it's also really nice if you are familiar with the area of Los Angeles, because they go to these different locations that are neighborhoods that aren't usually highlighted, you know, that you would see like in movies or TV shows out here in LA. And since we've been stuck in our apartment for over a year now, I think we were actually almost right on the 1-year anniversary of being, in quarantine on lockdown. We haven't been able to like explore the city really that much. So it's been nice. It's kind of like a virtual way to enjoy the city that we've been unable to explore for over a year. So that's City of Ghosts on Netflix. It's just so nice, so charming. I would at least watch one episode just so you can kind of see the creativity that's going into the animation here. But that is what is on the docket for the QuaranStream for me this week. Chris, what have you been watching?
I have been watching a follow-up to a movie my wife saw for the first time a couple weeks ago, Alien, and saw Aliens, the James Cameron follow-up. And, kind of, I was working, again, this on my arcade cabinet stuff. So I've seen it before. It was in the background. But, in this Aliens, we find out, spoiler alert, Ripley's been gone for 50-something years or more. And, they've colonized the planet where the aliens were. And they're like, there's nothing there. You're crazy. And then all of a sudden the colonists go missing. And you're like, well, she told you. This is what happens when you don't listen to the woman, again, in the show. And what I really like about, the sequel, Ridley Scott did the first one, James Cameron did this one, is, while it is a little more military focused, right? There's military people dropping down to find these aliens. And it does the scary, spooky stuff, I think, a little better, because they do find a little girl called Newt in this one. And she's like, they had the cat in the first one, right? That they always had, we have to get the cat. We have to get the cat. And this one, it was, we have to take the girl with us kind of thing. And we get to see for the first time a queen alien, if you will. They kind of explain where the eggs come from. They open up the lore a little bit without, ripping back all the layers at once and be like, well, these are what these aliens really are, and this is what they're doing, blah, blah, blah. And of course, we get the iconic line, "Stay away from her, you bitch," in this, whenever Ripley's in the mech. And it's just one of those fun, it was just fun to go back to it and, see it through fresh eyes, because a lot of these effects right back then are done in camera. There's not effects in the 80s that we have today, and if they did, they looked piss poor. So I was really excited, from a filmmaking point of view, to see these practical effects that, like we talked about before, the H.R. Geiger sets, right? The gooiness, like all the alien bodies and how
everything's wet. That dude's brain is just wet all the time. He's just like, I think everything I'm looking at would be better if there was a sheen on it.
Yeah, exactly. And then on the eggs, the water flows upwards, so they reverse all the liquid drops onto them. Or hang it upside down and reverse all the liquid drops. It's just really, it was really exciting to kind of do this. And there's a new Alien game coming out. I think maybe we talked about it or didn't. That's kind of set like in like Left 4 Dead style game where you're just running and gunning away from the aliens. And this kind of gave me that vibe because they're always down, they're counting bullets, right? You've got Michael Biehn, action star of the 80s, coming off the heels of Terminator, going right into Aliens. And then Bill Paxton, who, made an appearance in S.H.I.E.L.D., Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 1, before he passed tragically, as, just another, smart mouth, military guy. It was just really cool to go back in there and watch my wife experience this for the first time, because she's like, I don't know what aliens are. I know what they look like, but why are they scary, kind of thing. And I think this one did a really good job hiding, because the walls were all alien-ified, right? And on the ceilings. So they hid them better in those, like when they popped out and got you, that kind of thing. It was really, really cool to visit that. Today, on this Sunday, I had the pleasure of watching a YouTube TV version of Cliffhanger. And when you say, why does that matter, Chris? That means because it has commercials in it, and they edited some of the language out.
Okay, so this is actually the movie Cliffhanger. I thought this was like a legacy of like YouTube Red, like, oh, we're gonna remake Cliffhanger.
Nope. It was the movie Cliffhanger on YouTube TV with commercials, kind of thing. I think it was on BBC for some reason, because they kept showing Doctor Who commercials in the middle of it. But this is just one of those 80s action movies where Sylvester Stallone he's jacked. He's in a t-shirt in the snow climbing up a mountain. Everyone's getting punched in the face and bloodied up, but they're all muscly men and they're all manly men, and they're all gonna stick it out. It's hard for me to see the villain in this movie. He is the Third Rock from the Sun, the main actor.
John Lithgow?
Yeah, John Lithgow, as like a villain, because my introduction to him was in Third Rock from the Sun. So like it's hard to see him as the villain, but he is the main villain in this. But also, I did not know this, or at least I hadn't thought about it well, but Michael Rooker stars opposite of Sylvester Stallone as his buddy, which then brings me to Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, where they share scenes as the Ravagers together. I'm like, oh, this is actually pertinent, and I forgot about it because it's been forever since I watched Cliffhanger.
Yeah, so I was Googling Cliffhanger real quick just to get some cliff notes, if you will, while you were talking about it. And I'm having trouble finding dates for some of these things, but if you search Cliffhanger, you're going to find the word reboot as early as, I want to say, 2019, and with Jason Momoa might possibly appear. So this could come to fruition. We might be seeing a reboot of this film, Chris. So it's a good thing you're out there doing your homework.
Yeah, exactly. And it was just on one of those things you watch when you're at your family's house, and it's just on TV, and you're like, yeah, whatever. We'll watch it. Again, one of my first introductions to Cliffhanger was the opening scene of Ace Ventura 2.
Oh yeah.
Whenever he drops the raccoon off the cliffhanger.
Oh yeah, he falls. Is he falling off a bridge? I feel
they're climbing. They're going across the valley of the mountains on like the single line, and the hook breaks or whatever, and he drops a raccoon to the thing. Yeah, it was kind of. It was just fun to watch that and revisit. You know, I guess it's 93. I thought this was an 80s movie. It felt like the 80s, but it's 93.
It does have 80s energy to it, for sure.
Very much so. And then lastly, this week, I took a trip back and revisited Inception by Christopher Nolan. Because I think, that's peak Leonardo DiCaprio right there. When we talk about Leo memes, there's the one where he's doing it from Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, but then there's the one where he's talking to Cillian Murphy on the plane, and he's like squinting at him because he said something. So I enjoy that. But I all the actors in Inception just sell their roles so much. Again, speaking of Third Rock from the Sun, we got Joseph Gordon-Levitt, we have Tom Hardy, Elliot Page is in it. Michael Caine, Leonardo DiCaprio, all these great people. Ken Watanabe, it's just so many great actors. And I think after watching what was his most recent film that we watched, where they're a couple backwards boys.
Oh God, why can't I remember?
Tenet.
Tenet. Yeah, I started with the T.
Yeah, like how the story in Tenet doesn't really make sense when you try to sit and think of it, but like how in Inception all the details were kind of plotted out along the way. Like it felt that much better to go back and like, oh, this is prime Christopher Nolan too. Like, coming off Batman, doing his own movie stuff.
Yeah, the interesting thing about Inception, comparing it to Tenet, I feel like the exact same amount of talent and effort went into both movies, but Christopher Nolan just started from a better idea at the core with Inception. So when you work kind of through that problem, you end up with this like very, very well crafted movie, where when you're working through kind of a more difficult, more confusing problem like Tenet, you still get all the masterful craft and filmmaking, but kind of the product that's made is just kind of like, well, I don't know about this one so much.
And I think you'll agree, the idea of Inception is something easier to sink your teeth into. Because we all dream, right? We all know what dreams are and how real they can feel. Traveling backwards through time, because some people from the future said we could, feels weird. It doesn't feel tangible, where Inception feels like, oh, this could actually happen somewhere down the road. And it's just really fun to have that team of people. It's one of those things I just kind of put on when I was laying in bed. I'm like, oh, I'm going to probably fall asleep to this, but my eyes were glued the whole time because it's just so fun to go down.
You fool.
But I think Aliens and Inception are both on HBO Max, which we'll talk about that here in a little bit. It's a great service to have. A lot of really good options on there. So really diving into that. But I want to dive into the news, Mike. We are ready to get into this because I want to talk about this first topic. One of my favorite times of year is award season. And what kind of award? If with every Oscar there comes the anti-Oscar, the raspberries. And I think we go through this every year. If no one knows what the raspberries are, Mike, give them a quick rundown of what the Razzies are.
It's the antithesis of the Oscars. If the Oscars are rewarding craft and quality filmmaking, the Razzies are rewarding just schlock.
Yeah.
What didn't turn out well. Sometimes I feel like the Razzies may also be plagued with the exact same kind of notions that the Oscars are, where sometimes it feels like the Oscars aren't really awarding the best film. They're just kind of rewarding the film that feels like that certain director maybe deserves an award by now, or there's a culmination of a bunch of stuff of that person's life going into it. In the same way, I feel like the Razzies, they're not factually picking the worst movie that was made in that calendar year. It's just kind of like, okay, well, you were a certain class of movie that had everything going for it. You had the money, you're a big studio picture, and you just miffed it. So you're going to get the award for worst picture, when technically you could probably go out and find technically a feature film that was limited to release and was just dog crap. But so that's why you get things like, I guess unburying the lead here, but a Wonder Woman, if that wins a Razzie, that's why.
And it's kind of one of those things. It's like the biggest letdowns, kind of like you said, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, you have talent and money and time, but you just fucked it up. You really dropped the ball here. And again, I would expect to see probably Willy's Wonderland on this next year, but we're talking about 2020's Razzies when there weren't a lot of movies out, so this is really, really fun. What's also cool about the Razzies is it's not an elite thing. You go pay your dues as a Razzie person. I think it's like $40 a year, or $40, and then it's 25 years. I'm like, and then you get to vote for this. We can vote for the worst movies ever. Their motto on their site, I looked this up earlier, says "Don't bitch, vote." And I'm like, all right, they're down. So the newest Razzies, I'm not gonna go through all of them because they go this not the same things Academy Awards go to. They don't get into music score and costumes and stuff like that. But they do touch on some big ones here, and these cross over into our news topics. That's why I brought them in here. Mm-hmm. So first and foremost, one of the most coveted Razzie awards is Worst Actor. Right. This is one that Eddie Murphy, I think he got 3 of them in a row, and then he quit acting for 10 years. He said he got the awards, stopped acting because of them, and did Dolomite Is My Name, which come back, and then what's the movie he's doing this year?
Coming to America.
Yeah, Coming to America. So which people say is bad. I only bring this up because the movie that is the worst supporting actor this year is actually another Dr. Doolittle movie called Doolittle, and Robert Downey Jr. is up for this. He came off of last year in 2019, 2 years ago, Endgame, right? Avengers Endgame, where he is the defining moment with the snap and giving the iconic, performance and wrapping up a decade of acting there. And within a year, he's turned it around with a Disney. It's not a Disney movie. It's actually somebody else. With Doolittle getting a Worst Actor nomination. So,
yeah. If anybody needs to be humbled in this world, I think celebrities are a top class of people that could do with a little bit of eating crow. So, whether or not Robert Downey Jr. is a good guy or not, this is just a good reminder of just not everything you're going to touch is going to turn to gold, buddy.
Exactly. and another example of that in the other 2 of the other worst actors in that are also Adam Sandler and David Spade. People who were essentially golden boys in the 90s, right? 20 years later on, not so much. One of the more surprising ones is this turn in Worst Supporting Actress, Kristen Wiig for Wonder Woman 84. Now here's where I don't think it's her fault. I think Kristen Wiig is a great actress. I think the hand she was dealt was piss poor. So I don't think she actually deserves this nomination, but the character and how it was handled does. I mean, which is hard to it's hard to say, then does she deserve it? Yes or no, kind of thing. So, I don't know, man. I mean, I feel like this wasn't really a surprise, but I hate to see it for Kristen Wiig, who really didn't do a bad job acting in that movie.
Yeah, just the characterization that she was given in the type of movie that she was in, but
the effects.
yeah. You know what, and that's why you don't usually see these people showing up at the Razzies, because sometimes they deserve it, and sometimes it's just I probably shouldn't have picked this project.
Yeah, exactly. It probably sounded good on paper, if I was going to be honest. So I can't fault her. And lastly, one of the last titles is Worst Remake, Ripoff, or Sequel. And Wonder Woman 84 secures its second nomination.
Ooh, I totally agree with that. Yeah, if you're talking about letdowns, I mean, talk about huge dip in quality. So this one, I think that's safe. That's a safe assumption. Right
yeah,
there.
exactly. Doolittle is also in this, and then Adam Sandler's Hubie Halloween.
Hated that.
Yeah, I know. I was like, you're gonna like that. Yeah, the Razzies, you can go to razzies.com and look up all these. There's movies in here I've never heard of, like 365 Days. Have you heard of this movie?
Mm-mm.
Yeah, exactly. Apparently it's a Polish remake or a ripoff of 50 Shades of Grey. So it had 6 nominations along with Doolittle. So there you go. There is funny because also, I just want to, before we jump on, one of the worst supporting actors is actually Rudy Giuliani in the Borat subsequent movie film. So they do take a piss at some people in here. It's really funny. So Razzies, will know more in a couple weeks how that goes. One of the hardest things about making news for this show every week is going through all the news, right? Finding out what's actually relevant, what's pertinent to the show, so we can tell it to you, and you're not like, you guys are just spitting off, some lies or some what is it, hot takes, what's the word I'm looking for, clickbaits, right? We're not doing right here doing clickbait, we're doing actual news. And I just want to thank God Justice League Snyder Cut is coming out this week, because every other icon on every news site I go across, I scour dozens of them, is goddamn Justice League. Like, here's a poster for Wonder Woman, here's a poster for The Flash, here it is in black and white, here's stuff. And it's not that I'm not disparaging the movie yet, right, Mike? I mean, we've seen the bad version supposedly, but golly, it needs to just be here so we don't have to dig through it.
Yeah, it's just this very, very strange scenario where, some people have said, like, this isn't the first time a director has ever been given a chance to go back and redo a movie. But I would say this might be the very first time that this has ever happened where there's been an almost equal marketing push for like the second version, right? Because when this has happened in the past, it's been like on a DVD, collector's edition, and like there might be a trailer for it, but you're only going to see it if you're in like the right subreddit and somebody shared it and stuff, right? Like this is like a full-fledged like HBO Max premium streaming thing that's being pushed in your face kind of all over again. So whether you like it or not, you're going to have to experience the marketing one more time.
Yeah, exactly. And there's like, hey, here's a Wonder Woman trailer. Today was like, here's the final trailer with all these people, and I'm like, I'm not watching this. I'm trying to go in as clean as I can to experience it for the first time, because we do that. Me, Mike, we both agree. We try to avoid like the TV spots and like the other trailers.
Well, that was a question that I was actually going to ask you, Chris, before we go into these bullet points for Justice League. Were you going to rewatch Joss Whedon's cut of the film this week before you watch Snyder's version of it?
Absolutely not. I've actually got it in my schedule to watch Batman v Superman, the Ultimate Cut on HBO Max beforehand.
Okay.
So I watched Man of Steel probably a little over a month ago. Feels pretty fresh in my mind. Do Batman v Superman, the Ultimate Cut, which I've not watched since we did our review episode on it. I lived in a different house. Like, that's how long ago that was. And then go into Justice League on Thursday afternoon and, buckle up for 4 hours and see how this goes.
Yeah, I was chatting with some fans of the show. I was asking them similar questions, and they're like, yeah, I think I'm going to, rewatch Justice League. They, they want to feel like they, are totally on board with everything that's happened in this canon or not canon so far. We'll actually talk about that here in a second. But I'm going to try to go from a very Philistine point of view. I'm just like totally trying to remove my brain from everything, and I'm just going to try to watch it as best as I can as somebody that just has forgotten everything about the movie, and just try to absorb it as the standalone piece of quote unquote art Snyder wants it to be. So
you're not gonna watch Batman v Superman before you kind of jump into it?
No. I'm just gonna put it on like every other rube is probably going to do this week, of just like, oh, something new in front of me. I didn't even know that this was coming out. I'll click play and watch it.
Yeah, so buckle up for that. And if you're one of those lucky suckers who were trying to watch Tom and Jerry on HBO Max this week, you could have gotten to watch it early, because the for lack of a better word, I believe incompetence is what I'm looking for here at HBO Max. Someone put it on there, and they were able to watch Tom and Jerry, and some small children's parents probably freaked out seeing literally Zack Snyder's Justice League instead. How hard is it to copy the files? That's the question we ask.
Yeah, I believe that this was only available for, I want to say, roughly an hour until the people over there on the tech side of things cut the feed, as I believe I saw in some articles. So there's some people out there who don't really have any sort of like movie reviewing experiences who were trying to get some of their thoughts and opinions out of the movie. And I'm not trying to be elitist and say like not anybody can review a movie, but there's just like randos on Twitter giving their review for like the first hour of this film. But I was just like, I don't know anything about you. What's your opinion on the whole Snyderverse in general? How often do you like watch movies? What's going on? So basically I just didn't look up what these kind of first hour long impressions were. But I did see that there's some review embargoes for the Snyder Cut that are starting to lift right around now.
Yeah, I saw some today.
So I think you're going to see a lot of those headlines tomorrow on Monday. And usually that's a good sign, right? You know, they're not going to lift those review embargoes before you're able to actually watch it because they want people to go check it out. So this could be a good sign for the Justice League that they're willing to lift those, 4 or 5 days before you're actually able to stream it?
But I also think there's this internet culling of the Snyder Cut fans who will be undeterred regardless of what you do and will increase the HBO Max price. And I don't have it in our notes here, but actually HBO Max said they're going to do a cheaper price with ads later this summer. We talked about that a little bit because it reminded me when you were actually mentioning, you know, the marketing push for this, you know, to get people to HBO Max, you know, that ad-free supported version might be the last barrier. Not the ad-free, it's the ad-supported version, which is cheaper, will probably be the last barrier to entry to people who maybe didn't join on just yet. Because HBO Max is a little pricier, right? It's like, what, $15 a month or something like that? So, yeah. Also, again, this movie is releasing Thursday, March 18th, probably in the morning. Guess what? 3 a.m. Eastern, midnight your time. And this will probably be there's a 4-hour film with separate chapters involved here, Mike. With title cards and everything on the chapters. If
you are a project manager or anybody that's in charge of nerds at your place of work, expect lower productivity on Thursday because they're going to tell you that they're working, but they're actually going to be at home and they're going to be watching the Snyder Cut and they're just going to be like refreshing their email inbox maybe every 20 minutes to make sure they're not about to get fired. So just be prepared for that. If anybody's ever put a Zack Snyder quote in their email signature, be prepared for this.
Right, exactly. Or one of these titles. I think the first chapter is called "Don't Count on It, Batman," or something like that. I don't know. So, but yeah. So my biggest thing is with 4 hours. I'm gonna watch it in the evening. But you know, I've got to schedule my bathroom breaks around these, Mike. You know, gonna need an intermission, stretch my legs, do a lap.
Make sure you're subscribed to the podcast. We will be talking about this on next week's feed, so we'll do a whole spoiler cast on this for sure. I mean, how could we not? We'd be insane not to.
Yeah, we did it for Batman v Superman, the Ultimate Cut. We actually had to pay for that, so you know, fuck us, right? The other part of this is the notes from next time this week is Joss Whedon's Justice League film is actually considered the DCEU canon, so any sequels going forward or any other movies will reference that cut of the film rather than the Snyder cut of the film, if they even reference it at all. Yeah,
I mean, does it even really matter? I think I saw a headline. I don't even know if we're talking about it here in the show or not. I'll just scroll forward a little bit here. It was about the Flow. We're talking about the Flash next. Never mind. I'll just wait and talk about it there. But yeah, it's just like, is the continuity even going to matter when they're fracturing and changing things so much anyway? We don't even know if some characters are going to return or some actors. So yeah, it doesn't even really matter.
Right. Exactly. I think the biggest question here is whether, no matter which one they cut with, will they be bringing back Henry Cavill as Superman? We already know Ben Affleck's out, and they have a new Batman who's in his own little universe, you know, so will he even cross over or not? Who knows? Michael Keaton's supposed to be doing that stuff, so it really doesn't matter which one's considered canon at this point. I think just keep looking forward and don't look back, and there's a lot of success to be had from everybody. So Justice League, thankfully, coming out this Thursday, March 18th. They're doing it just for me the day after my birthday, Mike. They like, Chris needs to watch this and get it out of his news feeds because, man, I need to get to the good stuff. The other stuff, I guess. It's not all good. Some of it's just others. The Flash movie, on the other hand, is moving forward, and they're keeping the Iris West actress, Kiersey Clemons, of course. I think we might have talked about that before. But they've cast Maribel Verdu, who's an actress in Pan's Labyrinth, as Nora Allen, Barry's mother, for this movie. And
I think I also saw that they're going to be recasting the dad too.
Right. Well, that's the next bullet point. So the reason they're casting his mom is because Billy Crudup from Watchmen has had to drop out due to a scheduling conflict with his Apple TV Plus show, and the Flash constantly being delayed. They say it will be recast, but who knows? What will be happen with this multiverse they're supposedly tapping into in the Flash stuff.
And also, it kind of goes back to like Joss Whedon's like film canon. Whether that actor was or wasn't the same in Zack Snyder's version, I don't think that's even up for dispute. But it's just like it doesn't even really matter. Like we're so far removed from those movies at like this point in time. You just move forward, like you said.
Well, exactly, and that's the thing. With Iris West, or not West, Iris. What's her name? Before she gets. No, Iris West. It's Iris West and Iris Allen later. Is that Kirstie Clemons was cut from the movie from Joss Whedon's, right? So they can we can recast her with anybody we want, but they're choosing to keep her for the Flash movie. But yeah, so if you're familiar with the Flash TV show, I expect a lot of similarities between this and the TV show, right? Flash's mother is killed. Dad's framed for it. He was in jail in Justice League, and seeing kind of how that plays out as he travels back in time to play with that. On the flip side, the Batman, the other movie we were talking about here, the one with just watched his movies, Tenet and whatever. Who's the actor who's playing Batman? Shoot me. What's his name, Mike?
I can't even think of it off the top of my head.
Oh my gosh.
Pattinson.
Robert Pattinson. Yes, Robert
That's
Pattinson. They finished principal photography on the film finally after several shutdowns and filming through the pandemic and stuff like that. They finally finished it, and they're I guess pretty excited about it. That's good to have a movie under the belt, right? Like now we've got a year, one full year, pretty much exactly until this comes out, March 4th of 2022.
So many Batman. We got more Batman than we got Spider-Man. There's a lot to keep track of. I just like it when you get like a lot of sample sizes from one specific category, right? Now we have like so many different versions of Batman. I just want to see a lot of the comparison charts. I think there was one when Ben Affleck was Batman of just like how many people did this Batman kill versus how many people did these other Batman kill. So the data side of my brain likes the extra data point.
Well, what I'm looking at here, this is a slate from the film, and it looks like a birthday card. Is this like a Riddler birthday card here? Like a card that Riddler would leave behind? Or maybe not a birthday card, but this is movie props.
That?
Like this is bagged movie props here.
It looks like it almost looks like an air freshener that you put around your mirror in your car.
It's in a plastic bag for protection, like the slate is. And there's an evidence bag behind the slate. I mean, we might be thinking too hard into this, but like it looks like there's some tidbits from the film, like keepsakes.
Yeah, like a little evidence bag, and it could be like a greeting card or something like that.
Yeah, I think that was going to be something to do with the Riddler, because the Riddler likes to leave cards on Batman's doorstep. I think that's cool. I mean, we got to wait a whole year for DC to do their post production, but that's good. It's in the can, Mike. That means they got a movie, and they're probably going to release it. If not, we'll start a hashtag about it. Something I didn't know what was going on this week was the AT&T Analyst and Investor Day call, and in that call they did some DC announcements and mostly confirmations, if you will. So we've got this fun little link in the show notes that shows this grid of all the stuff they actually showed. These are official title cards, Mike, and things in the work.
And I'll stop you right there. Obviously, the biggest news to come out of this is not even news, because I think we've talked about it before, but it's the long-awaited Bat wheels. We want to see.
I don't know
what
if we've
the
talked about
this. We want to see what a sentient Batmobile gets up to out there in the world. Right?
I believe this is Cars, but for Batman. Is that what you're thinking?
I mean, I actually, if we really want to talk about it, what is it? Is this Batman personified as a car, like in a Cars universe, or is this like a Knight Rider situation where this is a sentient Batmobile who maybe is tired of Batman riding around in him, or maybe he feels like when Batman is busy and sleeping, he should be going out and fighting crime on his own, and like, oh, Batmobile, you can't be going out there doing hijinks, you're gonna get me in trouble.
Yeah, well, I guess the Bat plane and Bat boats won't be taking part in this because I don't see them having wheels, Mike.
That's true. If you don't have wheels, you're out of the show.
Exactly. So Bat Wheels is one of the big announcements here. Also, the Batgirl title in the upper right, they're still working on this. This was a Joss Whedon project they announced in 2017, but things really aren't going well for him right now. And then also two over from Bat Wheels is the Zatanna show. I will never pronounce that correctly the first time. And that's because that's been rumored, but now that's confirmed to be kind of in the works here in this Dark Universe stuff.
Yeah, I was saying at the top of the show before we started recording that I'm like very, very slowly exploring the Titan show on HBO Max. You know, I just put it on every once in a while when I don't have anything else that I want to watch, and I kind of just honestly just halfway pay attention to it. So I can't even really give any honest reviews for the show. But every once in a while, I'll look up from my phone while I'm scrolling through TikTok, and I'll be like, okay, that's kind of cool. That's interesting. Somebody said a swear word, or somebody broke somebody's back, or wow, that dude really threatened to cut off that dude's testicles. I wasn't expecting that to happen in Titans, but it does seem a little bit more like a bunch of angsty teenagers were allowed to make a CW TV show. So I'm hoping maybe we get a little bit more polish on like this Satana or Batgirl show.
And I think they will. I think the problem with Titans is it lived in a DC Universe Online world, and not an HBO Max world. We're like, look, we want to do more with this kind of stuff. We're gonna borrow you for a little bit here. I do see Titans and Doom Patrol are not on here, which is interesting, because they have Green Lantern, and Peacemaker, and what's the other one? The other show, GCPD. The HBO Max show's on here.
This could technically be a grid of new things being added to the service, and I know you could say like, oh well, Harley Quinn's up there, but I think technically Harley Quinn right now is not an HBO Max original, but maybe the next season will be considered an HBO Max original. So who knows? That maybe that's how they're splitting hairs with the grid.
I honestly don't know, because I see there's a Legends of Tomorrow, but Supergirl's on here, and Supergirl's already canceled at the end of this season. So I don't know what the rhyme or reason is. Maybe they had some announcement specifically. I don't have the details, but there are also video games on here. Because you see Suicide Squad in the upper right and bottom left. One's video game. And Gotham Knights in the bottom is a video game. But I just, I think it's interesting, the overuse of the lightning bolt symbol across Black Adam, The Flash, and Shazam. But it's fun to just kind of see this grid, right? I like the colors. I like the play. It doesn't have that Marvel feel that, every Marvel logo has its own logo, right? Its own little square icon on a black background, and feels good. And this just feels like a smattering of stuff, and that's fine. I love the colors. I love the vibrancy of it. And I'm really excited to kind of watch this. Watch it, see some of these come to fruition, like Static Shock, right? Blue Beetle. We've talked about those forever. League of Super Pets, Mike, come on, get on board with this.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, the thing everyone's wanted. But I'm excited for some of these, right? Like, I think this is something for everybody in here. Anything else you want to add to this before we jump on? I mean, I think it's kind of fun.
No, man, let's keep pressing forward. We lost an hour today, Chris. We're already behind on our lives.
Make it up. Okay, WandaVision wrapped up a little over a week ago, and this week we got our first assembled episode on the series. And you texted me before I got to watch it, but I dedicated an hour of my life last night to watching it. And I'm going to tell you right now, I am absolutely disappointed they only made one episode of this in 51 minutes. I really like the original Mandalorian season stuff.
We're kind of on the same page for same reasons, but we're kind of divergent a little bit. I'm okay with just one episode, in my opinion. I feel like they did a really, really good job on the second season of behind the scenes of The Mandalorian. I like just being able to sit down and watch one episode and kind of get it all condensed. But with this WandaVision one, I feel like the first 10 minutes and the last 10 minutes were entertaining, and then the rest of it was just fluff of just actors talking about their roles. And I think I've brought this up on the show before. As much as like I will adore or love an actor, when it comes down to their performance or even just their like off-screen personality, or maybe even just their philanthropy with what they do with their money, I can actually love and respect them for all that stuff. But I weirdly just do not want to hear them talk about their characters, right? Because they put it all on the screen. I don't need to see Elizabeth Olsen tell me how Wanda feels during this episode, because I watched it on the screen. So it weirdly felt almost like a recap of the season, because they just like every segment was just like, okay, let's just bring in a new actor. Okay, tell me what happens to this character in this episode. And it's just like, it was like I was watching the Man of Recaps all over again on YouTube. So like the first 10 minutes was fun because it was all about like the making of the vintage episode. And the last bit was cool because they went into like the visual effects of like, the Vision's face and head, and how they had to go with blue paint instead of like red paint for like the black and white. But yeah, the bulk of this I was just kind of like, let's get on to show me some cool stuff. Like, where's the cool stuff?
And I think that the problem with that is they've been. My assumption is all these actors have to sign the NDAs. They've been so secretive, right, the whole season. And these were the chance for them to sit down and actually split everything out they've been holding in. But that doesn't do us, the viewers, anything because we already know. So I don't need that. I want to see. Honestly, I'm very disappointed we didn't see a literally an episode by episode breakdown or like an era by era breakdown of how this worked because they talk about a little bit like, oh, we used the same Dick Van Dyke set and we just kind of changed it every bit, and then that was it. Like they just moved on to the next topic. I thought the music people were very interesting when they talked about the motif throughout everything. Which I'd actually seen on Reddit like a month ago. So like they were like, yeah, someone on Reddit kind of actually, or YouTube actually figured our stuff out, which was really cool. And like you said, how they, Paul Bettany isn't wearing the full Vision makeup the entire time.
Yeah, I didn't know that actually. They did. That is such a subtle visual effect, and that's mastery right there when you don't even know it. I just assumed he was just in the makeup chair for hours because that's the story that you always hear on these sets of just like, Drax, we set him down in a chair for like hours and we put all the stuff on him, then he can finally film stuff. So that's kind of what I thought was happening.
Yeah, so you get to see him like with the bald cap on, painted different colors with his ears sticking out, which is hilarious and very awkward. Like how the actors acted with him like that is beyond me, because I'd lose it.
Yeah, there was some fun takeaways. Like I thought it was funny that Paul Bettany had to wear lifts in his shoes because I guess the character of Vision should be a little bit more imposing around the people that he is with on screen because he's a synthezoid, so he should be kind of really big. Why does he have a butt pad, Chris? They never explained why he had a butt pad.
Yeah, the same reason Elizabeth Olsen has on her dress is for posture. It makes him stand up a little more, like he pushes his back in a little more.
I thought they were just trying to give him like a robot butt or something like that.
No. It's not a fake butt in that sense. It's like one of those tight things that like pull you together, like for men kind of thing.
I mean, we did get a little confirmation also, and you brought this up last week when we were talking about Evan Peters, that Evan was on and he said that he got the call from Kevin Feige, so that was a decision that came on up high. I'd like to know how exactly that fell apart and got to where we got, but we talked about all that last week, so we won't talk anymore about it there.
Well, he did mention it was meta as well. I'm like, I said that. I'm like,
yeah, I mean, like it was meta, but just maybe a little too meta. But so there was some fun stuff. Another big thing that I whiffed is when we were talking about the spoiler cast last week, I was under the assumption that they used all the Disney money that the show had and they built their own downtown set in Georgia somewhere, because that was just a flex that Marvel can do with Disney Plus cash. But actually they said that this was it was still a set, so I wasn't totally wrong, but it was one that already existed in Hollywood.
It's like down the road from you, man. Come on, you've been there.
Yeah, I just was surprised because I just thought they did all of this stuff in Georgia because they get all the tax credits there. But who knows? Maybe they had to just we want to do this kind of classic outdoor idyllic downtown set. There's none in Georgia, so everybody meet you in LA in 2 weeks and we'll film all this outside stuff.
Well, they also mentioned like they had to tear it down and like had like a day between like decades to redo the whole town sometimes, which maybe in Hollywood it's easier if they have all the stuff to make it there. I don't know, like but yeah, I thought that was interesting. One of the also things that they kind of confirmed is they shot this in front of a live studio audience in the outfits of the era. And it was cool to see that there's like that scene where Wanda and Vision in the first episode are having a phone call about the hearts coming over, and they were filming it on the same set at the same time in just two different places. So it was cool to see it kind of like come to life, but it was just really like there wasn't enough of that kind of stuff in there, and it felt disappointing. But it could be again a pandemic documentary. They shot what they had and used it, but
I think it was just, in my opinion, it was just lackluster.
Yeah,
I don't know if maybe they just didn't, like you said, if they didn't just have a whole lot of cool like making of behind this stuff. But that's what I want to see. I want to see the making of. I want to see the craft of putting it together. I don't really care what the actors have to say.
Right.
Yeah,
it'd be nice.
I can go watch an interview. I can go watch a junket if I really want to know what Paul Bettany and Elizabeth Olsen have to say about their characters.
Right. Well, I mean, I like their insights to like the outfits and like their experiences with this. Right. Like I think that was fun. Like Deborah Jo Rupp talking about being digitized. Like I don't even know where she would have been digitized into the show.
I almost feel like maybe that's the thing that Marvel does for everybody. It's just like, we don't know what we're gonna have to do with you later, so we're just gonna scan you.
Yeah, exactly. So that was kind of cool to get some of those tidbits. But yeah, like you said, like it's no one in if you want to point out, no one in this video had masks on. If that tells you when they filmed this documentary, which would have been over a year ago now, right?
Yeah, or possibly, I mean, you can still do it unmasked, but there's a lot more lockdown restrictions that maybe they can't do on that Georgia compound.
Because they had the Mandalorian stuff in mask too, though. If you look at all of that stuff, it was just weird to see it. I'm like, oh, is that safe? Is that, oh wait, we're good. We're safe on this. So, but yeah, I think it's worth watching. But I mean, like the Mandalorian stuff really nailed it. I think a little harder. So, hoping to see more of those. But with the assembled, the next one we're going to get is for the Falcon and Winter Soldier. And when does the Falcon and Winter Soldier drop, Mike?
Oh, Friday.
Friday, the day after Justice League, we get our first episode of Falcon and the Winter Soldier. And I've seen some early reactions that I tried to avoid. So no spoilers, but I'm just like, I don't want to get my hopes up, But it's Marvel. I'm excited for this stuff. It's a 6-episode series, and someone said, I think maybe it could have been Kevin Feige, that the episodes average 45 to 55 minutes.
Bring it on.
Which is about right for an hour-long show, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm preparing myself. Succession is a solid 60 minutes. Like it's like Game of Thrones timeline of like you're getting that whole hour blocked off. So I'm ready for Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
It's never
extending to 55.
It's never been a more awful week to have daylight savings time, because I used to just wake up and watch WandaVision, and that was an hour earlier. Now I'd have to wake up technically 2 hours earlier this week to watch this.
Oh my gosh!
So I think I'm gonna be saving it for the end of the day. So I'll be coming
Good
home
luck.
right away and watching it. Yeah, I'll avoid it at work, but I think for 6 weeks I can handle it. Just not going to the sites, not doing our show notes until Friday or Saturday. But it's gonna be hard to do that. But I'm excited. I'm excited to watch this and get the full. That was the other thing. WandaVision, I did not mind watching like in my bedroom when I woke up. Like I watched it on the TV in the bedroom. But like Falcon and Winter Soldier, I feel is gonna be like, I want to experience this with the sound and the lights in my little theater space. So looking forward to that. MCU on Disney Plus. Kevin Feige was doing some interviews apparently, and probably for WandaVision and Falcon Winter Soldier crossover. And he did say about the season 2 possibilities for the characters is like where characters show up and how will sometimes be in a direct season 2, will sometimes be in a feature and then an additional season, and then we're just not going to say who does what right this second. So
exactly what we thought.
but I mean he doesn't like necessarily like. He's like, you're not going to get, it's not going to go like WandaVision, then WandaVision season 2, right? She's going to Doctor Strange and then back. Will Bucky, Falcon and Winter Soldier, where will they go? Do they get their own movie? Or do they show up in another season of this and then an Avengers movie? Loki, where does he even go in this world? So I think his answer is pretty telling. Like, we don't have any plans yet, but, we're gonna ebb and flow. We're gonna wing it. We're gonna have some fun with these characters.
Exactly what they're doing with the release date of Black Widow. It sounds like
exactly, and that's a nice segue into our next topic here. Black Widow. Disney confirms. The CEO confirmed that the movie is on track for a May 7th theatrical release this week.
Bob Chapek, the Chapek man himself.
I don't know which one. It could have been a CEO of some other things, but yes,
it was either Iger or Chapek, right? One of the Bobs.
Yeah. I'm gonna pull up my notes here where I got it from here in a second. Bob Chapek is who it was. He was doing some interviews this week, and that they're gonna they don't want to change it, and some theaters are still very hesitant. I've heard that they're like it's gonna change, but again, just in terms of American numbers, the vaccine rate numbers are going up very rapidly, right? People are getting them. We may not be completely vaccinated by May 7th, but maybe in a safe place to sit in there, wear a mask, enjoy the movie, and go home, kind of thing.
Yeah, it's a big numbers game, just like how movies have always been. So it's just like they're projecting, okay, if we're getting this many people vaccinated every week, by the time we get to May, we'll be at this. Okay, places might start to lift restrictions. Maybe movie theaters won't be at full capacity, but we can get X number of people in. So it's an interesting formula to look at right now. We'll have to see. But I think the most important thing though is since there's going to be a two big groups of people in the United States, the unvaccinated and the vaccinated, by the time summer comes around. People should be extra nice when it comes to spoilers for things, right? Because people won't necessarily be able to go and see Black Widow the weekend it comes out, and like people love their memes, people love to go to social media, people like to get pirated clips and like start making like image macros and stuff like that. Like you're just really gonna have to cool it. So hopefully, I don't think there's gonna be a whole lot of that in Black Widow, just based on what we know about the film. Could be totally wrong. Maybe there will be like some big spoilery stuff in it. But it's
there's a reason it's the first one of this phase, Mike, and I don't know what it is. You can't put my finger on it.
Yeah, but it's just like, but just chill it on the spoilers. It's gonna be a while till everybody can go back to the theater.
Right, exactly. And with just to add that again, international numbers seem to be pretty good, and they need to get to international. So if we want to keep our Marvel movies on schedule the rest of the year, all 4 of them, and who knows how many shows, we need this to come out. So knock on wood, May 7th, Mike, doing it. I just wanted to go out on a limb here and say I didn't put this bit of news in here. I shared it with Mike originally, and I didn't think we put it in here.
Chris, this is what happens when you don't have the show notes ready on Sunday morning when I hop on my computer to make the image for this week's podcast. I just have to assume that the stuff that you sent me during the week is things that we're going to talk about on the podcast.
It's the biggest news.
And that was the live action casting of the Powerpuff Girls.
Yes.
So I made just like an image of I just put their heads on the Powerpuff Girls' bodies. It's kind of dumb and stupid, but it's just like, all right, I already made it. I'm not unmaking it. I'm not making another one.
It's fine.
So we have to put it in the show.
We have to put it in the notes. So yes, the live action TV series for the CW. I didn't realize it was CW. I thought it was actually like a bigger network or a streaming, but it's the CW. Has cast its Blossom, Bubbles, and Buttercup. And I bet everyone here is groaning at us for talking about this. But there's a reason. 2 of these actresses were actually in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. The first one being Chloe Bennett, the main actress of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., right? Who played Quake and Daisy Johnson.
I think it's safe to say she's been in every episode of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., possibly.
Yeah. The majority of them. I think the series revolves around her. Will be Blossom, the leader of the grown-up Powerpuff Girls, and the other actress is Dove Cameron, who, if you remember, she had like slicey rings, right? Like knife rings that she threw at people.
Yeah, she was in like one of the later seasons of S.H.I.E.L.D. I don't know exactly what season. Maybe season 5, maybe
late 4, early
maybe
5
6?
kind of thing. Yeah, it wasn't 6 or 7. But
yeah, I don't know exactly what it was, and I don't know who this actress is. I think she has another background before she was on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I don't know if she's like a singer or if she's
Disney.
in other
movies.
She's
a Disney actress.
She like a House of Mouse type person.
Like Descendants, I think was it. So, and she had like some singing here, but Descendants was her like the show she had on there.
Gotcha. But I mean, you got 2 Marvel actresses there, and then someone by the name of Yana Peralt.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly. Don't know who she is.
I don't think she has much. I think she's like has a theater background, so I think she's a relatively unknown cast for this. But I mean, there you go. That's your Powerpuff Girls, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's it. So they are older. They're dealing with the trauma of growing up as Powerpuff Girls.
They're jaded, man.
They're not together. They're gonna have to come back together and work out their differences. I'm excited to find out who plays their dad, the scientist in this. I wonder.
I would think to make the show the most jaded it could possibly be, you have him dead. But if you're doing a live action, you want to keep the bigger characters around that you can. So
the mayor, the little mayor and his his secretary.
What is Mojo Jojo gonna look like? Is he gonna be like a real chimp that kind of has mind control, or is he gonna be like an anthropomorphic? I guess chimps are kind of already anthropomorphic, but maybe even more so. Every time I see this pop up in my timeline, it's always people groaning that it exists. Like, oh no, you're ruining my Powerpuff Girls, and it's just like, whatever. I don't care. Like, you do it if you want to. Like, are people really that precious about their Powerpuff Girls?
I have 2 groans against this, Mike. Okay, first and foremost, one of the producers is writer is Diablo Cody, who did what was it?
Is that Juno?
Juno, which I fucking hate Juno, by the way. Like, it's a personal thing. Maybe fine in this. That was how many years ago? Anyway. And then, but it's also a Berlanti production. So what kind of effects are we going to get for their superpowers, Mike? So,
yeah, I guess we'll I guess we'll just have to wait and find out. I mean, I'll tune in. I mean, the CW app is free. You'll be able to watch it like the day after it premieres with some commercials. You won't have to really invest that much at all to check it out. But I mean, Chloe Bennett, that's a bigger get, you know.
Yeah, exactly. It's funny. Last year, we filmed this big commercial for my work. Right? I think I told you about this with these people from LA, and the director of that, his girlfriend is like best friends with Chloe Bennett. So like, he was like, yeah, I'll let her know you said hi. I'm like, oh, that's nice. But yeah, I think this is fine. I mean, it's not for us, but it's interesting to see. You know, this isn't Rugrats all grown up. This is Powerpuff Girls with trauma and all grown up. So we'll see how that plays in. Speaking of things from our childhood, which holds fond memories, Mike, video games. If Mike's singing or musical talents didn't give it away, it's the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. We're going to talk about their upcoming video game called Shredder's Revenge, coming to console and PC this year. And this is the exact style, not redone. This video game is made to look exactly like Turtles in Time, the arcade game that we all know.
Yeah, it got little sprites, and I waited until we got to the segment to ask my question, Chris. Since you are, all up in this kind of arcade world, is this a brand new game, or is this like a remastered game with extra levels?
This is a brand new game, so that's the point of this. These companies have come together, like, these people love these old games. We're gonna make the game the same side-scrolling fight style, just kind of upgrade the pixel count a little bit and give the characters some moves. Look like Bebop was spinning somebody around in one of the things. So like, it just looks like it's fun. If you're gonna like it, dive in. Save up all your quarters now, buy your game with the quarters so you don't have to put them in later.
You gotta stay 1 minute through the trailer. The 1 minute mark is when you finally get to see the sprites. And it's just great, man. That arcade game is just such a classic. I love it.
It is, and I think what's cool about this is I'm pretty sure it'll have online multiplayer. So rather than trying to get everyone together on a couch and make sure that's you have 4 controllers, if everyone's got their own console and copy of the game, play online. That'd be really enjoyable. So check out that trailer in our show notes if you're into retro video games and Ninja Turtles, or both. The last 2 topics here is going to be Resident Evil, Mike, because why not? This first image, you asked me this, is this a movie or a TV show? When I sent you the image of that says Resident Evil, and even though it says film on the title, I understand where you're getting from, because Resident Evil has a video game, a TV show, and a movie coming out this year. All 3 of them. And what's really weird is that when you, if you look here, it literally has almost every character's name from every Resident Evil video game in the background of this picture. So is this going to be the busiest movie in the world? Like, trying to introduce us these characters and why we care? Or what?
And is this like a live action?
Yes.
Or is this animated?
Live action. This is live action.
Yeah, it's really confusing because, like, with a lot of, like, Japanese video game properties, they are totally comfortable with, like, an animation studio, making, like, an animated story that could be canon, it could not be canon, it doesn't matter. We see this happen all the time with stuff on Netflix where, like, random video game like Dead Space or something like that will get its own, like, just one-off little movie that doesn't really evolve into anything. So that kind of happens with Resident Evil as well. So you're just like, what am I supposed to be paying attention to here? What's, like, the prestige thing that people might be talking about once we go back to the offices, right? I assume it would be this live action thing.
Yeah, well, we'll talk about more about what you actually just brought up here in a second. But this live action one, it's got the guy who plays the in the Umbrella Academy, the number 1 actor, Albert. I can't think of his name, but you know what I'm talking about, the one in the monkey body.
The gorilla guy. Yeah,
he's like one of the actors, like Hannah John Kamen, who played Ghost and the second Ant-Man and the Wasp. She's one of the characters as well. So they've got some names tied to this. So I've just not seen any footage, and I just hate the title colors because it's got this red spooky forest vibe, right? And Resident Evil red. Then like the R is black in Resident and the E is black in Evil. So when I saw this, I was like, oh, it says Esidentville, like, because the black goes in with the trees in the background. I'm like, from a design perspective, Mike, I feel this is a very piss poor choice.
Fire that graphic designer. Why would you do this?
I can't even see the title at the top. But I also think this was taken down from the internet. Whoever posted it was like, someone like had them delete it and take it down. So might have jumped the gun a little bit early on this thing. So hopefully we get a trailer soon. I think this is coming out September 3rd. So buckle up, buckaroos. Get some more Resident Evil. One that's not Mila Jovovich and her husband making it for once. But on the other side of this, Netflix is in fact making a Resident Evil TV or series using the animated stuff that you literally just mentioned. So they've done this before. There are other things. This, I believe, the voice actor for Leon here, and then there's a Claire character as well, are the same voice actors from the Resident Evil 2 game that just came out. So they're trying to tie them together by using the same actors. But it is coming this year to Netflix. It's called Infinite Darkness, and it's quote unquote an anime series, but it looks to be like a CG anime series.
Yeah, I wonder if there's any synergy between like the video game engine that they developed and the character models in this TV show, right? Because it's like, well, do you really hire a brand new person to model all these characters in 3D, or do you just take the 3D models, which look great from the video games that just came out, and do you like start with those? Like, I feel like there's got to be some sort of like cross pollination. And I feel like I can't think of anything off the top of my head. But I swear I've heard of people like using like video game engines like to make, like TV. That's kind of what they do in The Mandalorian, right? They're using like Unreal Engine to run that the volume. So I mean, it sounds like they could just kind of do what they used to do back in the day with doing screen recordings of Halo, right? To make Red vs. Blue. Just the character models look a lot better now.
Do you think they'd call it an anime series still at that point? Or
I mean, anime is kind of traditionally rooted in Japanese culture. So if this is like a Japanese property and Japanese people worked on these characters, you could probably say it is. But yeah, we are starting to diverge, right, from 2D stuff.
2D
I watched like 15 minutes of that Pacific Rim 3D animated TV show. What was it called? Into Black or something like that, or The Black.
The Black.
And it was there was some they matched the aesthetic perfectly. Like all of the kaiju, or at least the 3 kaiju I saw at the beginning, looked the same. The robots are fitting in from what I used to see. But it's just I just don't know if I can get into it quite as much, but they fit the scale. That was the whole thing that we really liked about Pacific Rim. Things felt weighty, things felt big, and they still kind of feel like that. I don't know if I'll jump back around to it, but you can still feel the spirit of the show.
Hopefully you're not sharing someone's password on your Netflix, or else they're going to kick you off of it, Mike. That was a real bugger this week for some people, so we'll see how that goes. But yeah, Resident Evil, they got a video. Resident Evil 8 is coming out, I believe in May as well. So like, this is, if you love Resident Evil, this is your year for it. Sounds like they're tripling down. But also the Infinite Darkness, it's set in 2006 per the synopsis, which is I think when Resident Evil 2 takes place. So be interesting to see that, what they thought 2006 was in that world. All right, Mike, well, that's the show. That's it for this week. It's time to go try to speed things up to get this hour back, and then get ready for all the cool content we can start watching this week, so on and so forth. But if people want to know what you're up to, where can they find you at?
Well, they can find me at Mike Royer Design on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok, and you can read my comics at pickledcomics.com. Chris, if people want to catch up with you, see what you're doing, where can they find you?
You can find me on Twitter, Valdan, VALDAN, or Instagram, Valdan87. I'll be there. Also, new Fortnite season starts on Tuesday, so good luck to everybody out there. Have fun, enjoy it, and we'll talk about that maybe more next week if there's any crossover. I don't know what it's going to be. Interesting.
Heard you got to watch out for that Tomato Town, Chris. That's
Town.
all I know about Fortnite. It's all I know about Fortnite, Chris, is Tomato Town.
That is a 2-year-old reference, but yes, we'll do that. If people want to know more about the show, maybe get ready for our reviews. We're going to start doing again regularly. Where can they find all that stuff at?
Oh, that's so easy. All you got to do is visit superheroslate.com. That's the best place to find the avenues we host our show and to get our awesome show notes. So if you want to see the screenshot for the Resident Evil movie that made Chris mad, if you want to see some poor graphic design, click on that link in the show notes.
I'm so frustrated.
Yeah. If you want to see that splash of logos from that AT&T Analyst Investor Day, we got that in our show notes too. So go check that out at superheroslate.com. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, and wherever else you love to listen to fine podcasts like our own. And you can like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter and the Gram, and you can get swag at superheroslate.com/store. We love hearing from you. We love it when you guys reach out. We love hearing from you. And if you want to be a super fan of the show, that's so easy to do. All you got to do is share the show with a friend, share the show with a buddy. Make sure you're getting vaccinated and wearing your mask, social distancing, so we can get things back to normal before the end of the year, Chris. And that's all I have to say about that.
Well, there we go. We'll catch you guys next week.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Thanks for listening, and don't forget to subscribe.
This is like the calm before the storm.
We're in the eye of
The brown eye of the storm.
the Snyder storm.